Absolutely. So for all the 4 science modules that the students take, for example, on the pharmacy course, they're all linked to and associated with practical lab sessions. And all of their learning outcomes have a link to lab work, whether it's health and safety related in the lab, interpreting and analyzing data found in the lab, or using data to extract certain information. So in total, I would say there is about 25 hours of lab work for their academic year, and that's split across 4 different modules. The good thing about the Philip Tasker building, which is the hub of DMUIC, it's directly on campus at DMU, and our lab is about a 30-second walk from our building. So it's literally 50 meters away. So we share the lab facilities in the Hawthorne building, which of course is DMU's own health and life sciences specific building. So all the facilities and we use in that building. So yeah, heart of the campus actually we are. So it's really nice. The health and life sciences students, they also have labs, and pharmacy students as well as health and life science students, their first 2-term modules are all the same. So they will be mixed with other students in the lab. So I think it's a fantastic experience for them to have sort of peers to talk to across other programs. In their third term, that's when their programs or modules become much more specialized to the particular degree program they're going. So pharmacy students will go towards the chemistry direction. Health and life sciences students, they'll go more towards the microbiology section. So that's when there's a little split in that third term. But the first 2 terms, yeah, it's all shared across HLS and pharmacy students. I mean, for this academic year, including both our international and home intake of students, we had approximately 85 to 90 students enrolled onto either pharmacy or PCS. I mean, the majority was pharmacy because it's, of course, a very popular course, but there are some students, of course, who are enrolled onto PCS. Yeah, and from those 85 or 90, there's around 25 who are from the international cohort side. In the interview of assessing basic mathematical skills. So there may be some questions around basic maybe unit conversions or volumes, because maths, as you can probably imagine, plays a huge role in pharmacy when it's applied to chemistry. The other part of the interview, of course, is related to the students' previous experiences, their passions, their desires, their reasons for wanting to go into pharmacy. So half of it ascertains prior knowledge, subject knowledge, and the other half ascertains their interests, their focus, and their career goals when it comes to pharmacy. I mean, if I was to compare it to UK average or UK national framework, we would look at a minimum of GCSE level maths at around a grade 5, 4 to 5, which is equivalent to the older grade C when it comes to GCSE. So they're the type of entry requirements for mathematics we'll be looking at. Students who don't have an A-level maths, they'll get they can come onto the course because we teach maths as part of the pharmacy program, because it will boost students' mathematical side of things to make sure they're prepared for the maths for pharmacy. So yeah, the A-level requirement isn't a mandatory thing when it comes to pharmacy. The level of chemistry we teach at is A-level standard and a little bit more than that. So that would probably be equivalent to your year 12 and 13 in Korea education, I believe. So if they're coming in with again a GCSE equivalent of chemistry or some science, this would be enough of a good foundation and grounding for us to start building them for the more advanced topics in chemistry. So yeah, I think it would be suitable if they've had some kind of high school chemistry or sciences. They should be fine to progress onto this program, and given the support we give them, the students, I don't see any reason why they should be disadvantaged, because in the past we've had students with little to no chemistry come on board and do very, very well. I mean, some of our current Korean students haven't done chemistry before and they've excelled in this area. The good thing about the way that the college, the DMUIC, and the university function is when students don't meet requirements, there's always an opportunity for them to recover their grades. So there's always an opportunity for them to undertake reassessments to try and pull back the grades. So essentially, if students fail an exam, there's a second chance to do the exam, right? So it's not as if they fail and it's the end of the road. Of course not. In fact, a lot of students who do fail, they'll retry, and on the second attempt, they get it. So there's definitely chances for reassessments and trying things again if they don't meet the requirements on the first time. And even when it comes to reassessments, this is where we'll actually pull the student to the side and say, look, on your first sitting, these are the areas you went wrong. So we'll give them feedback of where they were weak, so they know they can go away and they can study on those areas. So come second attempt, they'll be much stronger. And of course, for any reassessments, we would always organize revision and support classes to make sure they're well supported for their second attempt. So we try to leave no stone unturned when it comes to helping them succeed and progress. Yeah, particularly for the chemistry, because the requirements are so high. During the terms where the chemistry modules are running, halfway through the term, we'll organize additional drop-in and support classes prior to the exam. So students who want that extra support, exam practice, are free to attend these optional sessions so they can just have more practice going to the exam. So yeah, these are always in place. And this is something I've been doing in the department for years now. And I would always encourage students to attend, because it's just that one area where there's only maybe fewer students, but they get the chance to ask about the things they don't know. And that's where they really learn how to tackle the tougher problems. I mean, it's the same with the chemistry. I mean, one of the things that we also offer students, and students are free to do, is if they feel they're struggling with anything, students are eligible and are open to request one-to-one tutorials with any member of staff. So if, you know, in the past, for example, I had a student who was really struggling with a particular topic in chemistry. So they reached out and said, look, can I have a couple of extra hours one-to-one of some chemistry support? Okay, and this is something we can arrange. So it's not just for the chemistry or the biology, it's for English as well. And I know the EAP team here at DMUIC, they often arrange a lot of revision classes, a lot of catch-up classes, a lot of support classes at various different times through the day. So different students on different timetables can always access them. And of course, there's always the recordings for students to fall back on in case they missed anything. But the way the EAP module is broken down, it's quite nice, because in the first two terms, it's weighted very small, so it doesn't impact their massive grade, because the first two terms build up their English to a really good level. And then it's the third term where the weighting of the English module is the highest, where they're assessed on the different English skills. So it kind of relieves the students of the pressure of having to do so well in English in the first two terms, and it builds them up to perfect it when it comes to the third term. So it's designed in a way to ensure the students prepare as well as possible. We sort of really pride ourselves on is something called a concentrated student-centered teaching and learning approach, which means all of our classes do not have more than 18 students. That's the maximum number of students they'll have in one class. I mean, some might even be smaller. For example, you know, I'm teaching a class this term that's only got 8 students in it. So it really makes for a really nice, small, concentrated class. And again, this just allows more dedicated and more focused time to tailor to each student to help them out. So yeah, really small, concentrated classes. Some of the online classes, if there were online classes come September, they might be merged with up to 25 to 30 students, but everything face-to-face, really small, really concentrated. This term, there's only maybe one class that's online, and that's one section of their English classes. Everything else is face-to-face. So yeah, 9 out of 10 classes in the week are face-to-face classes. And I'd anticipate come September, should everything stay fine, we'll be back to normal as fully face-to-face. Absolutely. For every single class that's delivered, those classes are recorded and uploaded onto the virtual learning environment, so they can always go back to any kind of class that they want and review the recording, search the recording, or look at any of it again. So these are for the main teaching classes. Things like tutorials and seminars where there's a lot of discussion, these won't be recorded simply because the discussion, of course, will affect the recording. But the main teaching delivered classes, all recorded, all accessible for students, and they're uploaded and updated on a weekly basis. So for every subject module, by subject module, I mean chemistry, biology, biochemistry, things like that, the pharmacy students take, the contact hours for those are between 5 to 6 hours per week. And that's made up of 2 lots of 2-hour teaching blocks, teaching hours, and one lot of a single hour of a tutorial or seminar session. And these are the minimum fixed timetable hours. Additional stuff like support classes, revision labs are extra to this. So EAP is usually between 4 to 6 hours. This tends to decrease as the students progress to the term. And their study skills modules are also around 2 to 4 hours. So all in all, on average, per week, the students could be a timetable for classes between 15 to 20 hours. So that's what we're looking at roughly. And this will be spread across the 5 days. Sometimes students may end up with just a 4-day timetable with a 1-day free. But of course, where logistically possible, we can try. But yeah, that's how it's like. Things that we want students to do independently as well. Take some of their work away, focus on self-study, because one of the key things is students have to learn how to do research, find information when it comes to assignments. So we factor self-study hours into their timetable because, of course, going to university, independent study is going to become quite a crucial and pivotal thing. So this is why we try not to give them 20, 25 hours of teaching per week, which is quite common in sort of high schools. But here we're trying to build other things as well as academic knowledge. It's embedding yourself into a UK university. There's different practices, different regulations, different policies they've got to get their heads around. So this additional self-study times gives them the opportunity to reflect and learn on some of the new things they've come across. And this is one of the reasons why we put on these kind of coursework seminar sessions where we talk them through how to do lab reports. What is a lab report? So we provide them with a number of different resources. I mean, in fact, when I show you through the VLE, I'll show you the type of resources we give students. We give them model lab reports. We give them examples of how to do different parts of the lab reports. We give them videos on how to structure the lab reports. We give them recorded videos of how to attempt to do a calculation in a lab report. So there's a whole host of different things we give them to support them. And of course, there's the class time where they can always ask their teachers about the reports as well. So yeah, plenty of support for lab reports, because yeah, it's a common thing. Lab reports is a new thing for many students.
Yes.
So yeah, it's something we've definitely picked up on in the past years, and we've always tried to build our support for this. And from what we can see, the lab report grades are getting better and better and better for the students that are coming here. So the support is working very well. I would say I mean, I didn't manage to find the figures, but I don't think it's below 80%, 85%. So it's really in the high 80s, maybe even early 90s when it comes to progression onto DMU, whether it's pharmacy, whether it's PCS, or whether a student halfway through the year thinks, well, actually, I'd rather do medical science because that's my interest. So progression and pass figures are really good. So it's a credit to my team who deliver all the modules. So yeah, really pleased with the progression. All I really say to students is, I mean, what they put into their studies is what they'll get out of their studies, to put it bluntly. But we've given them the mechanisms, the resources, the support, and through the first 2 terms, we really try to give them a lot to prepare them for that transition. As long as the students engage, inquire, and really get involved with their studies, I've never seen someone not do well based on that. And this is coming from some of the experiences of past students who have come from Korea and studied. Without mentioning names, we've got a student who's never done chemistry before of any level. Yet this student is probably the best in chemistry in the class. Of course, we've got a student from Korea. We've got some students from Pakistan. We've got the Middle East. We've got some from Europe as well. So it's a mixture. In fact, if I try to remember the countries, it's Nigeria, Kuwait, Iraq, Pakistan, Korea. I'm trying to think for the third one, Turkey. Yeah, quite a whole host. And of course, aside from that, we've got a lot of UK nationals who also take the course. I think from last academic year as well, we had similar thing. We had a Korean student, a couple of Korean students, in fact. Taiwan we had as well. Indonesia we've had. Malaysia we've had in the past as well. And maybe that was in the last academic year. In this academic year, we did have one from Taiwan. So yeah, a whole host of different nationalities for IYZ students.